The Garden Report is brought to you by FanDuel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network.
I'm not sure which way it goes. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the CBA, and we'll hang out here. We'll listen.
We're going to talk about Chris Paul.
And we'll talk a little bit about Chris Paul.
I'm getting a lot of heat for my tweet for some reason.
Why?
A lot of people don't want Chris Paul. Where I
was
said
Chris
that
Paul
I think the Celtics
actually
have
waived? Was he waived or not?
He's going to be waived.
He's going to be.
Fine.
Was he waived or not? It was on Twitter. It has to be true.
Chris Paul is gonna be waived. Well, it sounds like they might look for ways to move him creatively. Could be a trade, could be some sort of situation. But Chris Paul's time in Phoenix is over. And, like every single high profile player that's ever made available, every team is going to be like, what about us? Josue and Jimmy are geeked about it.
Listen,
right?
I mean, geeked is a strong word.
Yeah,
I think listen, and the main reason
I'm getting excited.
A lot of chatter on Twitter on my tweet for me anyways. And a lot of people are saying he's 38. He gets hurt a lot. You already have 3 point guards. Listen,
he's also a dink.
I know. That's what's hard is that I actually don't like the guy.
And nobody likes to be around him ever.
But he's
Tatum wouldn't mind. Who wouldn't mind the dink?
John,
you got about a 1-2 year shelf life with him. You're right.
That's it. And also you're getting
anything.
He wants to come to a contender. Maybe he takes a bit of a deal.
No, I meant until you get tired of him, Bobby. Not till he stops being able to play.
There's a lot of ifs with my reasoning too. But go
ahead, Jimmy. Finish up. Sorry.
Yeah. Let me. Are we going to talk about Chris Paul now or later?
We're doing it now.
Yeah, look at the graph.
Then let me.
We're gonna end with the Jaylen Brown stuff. We're gonna get all of our other stuff out of the way, and we're gonna go.
Okay. Listen, I know all the reasons why people don't like Chris Paul. 1, he's a dink. 2, he's 38. 3, he gets hurt probably more often than not. I'll never forgive Chris Paul for what he did to Rondo. Like the back and forth with, I think, Rondo. I'm always a Rondo guy, so I'll always take Rondo over Chris Paul. But listen, you need a guy that's going to pass the ball to get your guys going. I don't want to see point Tatum. I don't want to see point Jalen. Nobody does. This guy is going to get your guys in the right positions. He's going to run the offense. He's going to get these guys the ball in places that they need him. He's creative. He's crafty, even at 38. I'm not saying he's going to go 40 minutes a game. You still have, you still keep 2 of your guards around him. So you probably get rid of Brogdon or Smart. One of those guys goes, Brogdon or Smart. I'd probably get rid of Brogdon. I'd keep Smart because Smart's a tougher guy. He's kind of the opposite of Paul in that sense. Paul, again, is a little dink. So, again, I love that move. And long-term, this is my long-term play here, longest-term play after this year. I have a huge grand scheme that the Celtics will draft Bronny James, at some point, mid to late first.
Hey, you've been teasing that.
And then they will sign LeBron James. LeBron James will come to Boston and play with Chris Paul, Jason Tatum, his son, whoever else is left on the roster. And you've got a couple legitimate veterans in lesser roles who can help you win a championship. LeBron obviously knows what it takes. And Chris Paul hopefully will have one by then because the Celtics will be in position to win next year if they follow my plan. So they sign Chris Paul. By signing Chris Paul, you can still consider a Jaylen Brown trade, but you no longer need to make it about acquiring like a playmaker, point guard, things like that. And you can include a Brogdon in your trade with Brown and not worry about taking a hit there at the guard position. Thank you for coming to my tech.
He starts like 30 games.
Yeah, he probably starts to start the year. But again, 35. I don't get hung up on starters, Bobby. It's all about who finishes, how many minutes they're playing. If you have Smart and White, you can, you almost got point guard by committee right there. So you got options. And again, this is a guy that plays the style of basketball they need at the guard position, who's not looking to score 30 points a game anymore. He's looking to win.
Yeah,
and the other thing is hopefully you can get him at a decent price. Where it's right now, what we're going to get into in a bit is, all these players now are going to cost you an arm and a leg. So he wants to go to a team on a low deal. And
that's the biggest hit right there for me. Like if he's willing to take low, obviously the minimum or somewhere near that, less money than he's ever taken before, given the fact that he'll be able to compete for a championship out in the East. And obviously the Celtics, they're not going to play him every single night. You have to conserve him and hope that he's going to be okay to play throughout the postseason. I mean, if anything, they somewhat learned that from Malcolm Brogdon, but just the history of Chris Paul will tell you that that's, the likelihood of him not being able to go throughout the whole postseason is very high. So you have to be careful with that, obviously. And with that being said, I mean, Chris Paul would have to
treat him like they treated Rob Williams, Josue. Sorry to cut you off. Go on.
Yeah, no, I mean, something like that, Jimmy. Actually, yeah, that's actually pretty good. I mean, I just think it's obviously, less money, coming in here to compete with these guys and give these guys direction. I really do believe this team, when at its core, they yearn for direction. And Chris Paul is that guy. He's not looking to take all the shots. He's not looking to take over. He's trying to help everyone be better, help the team be better. So those guys can always help this team. And if that's the case, then you got to go all in, though, Jimmy. I mean, that's the thing. You can't trade Jalen, or you can't. I mean, unless this guy wants, I guess he wants out. But I'd be surprised if he does, because someone like Chris Paul just kind of changes things. It kind of makes them really look at themselves in the mirror and say, look, are we going to do this or not? Like, this is it. I mean, this guy's, he's not here to babysit us. You know what I mean? So I do think it'll apply that type of pressure, along with, someone that's going to get in their faces, right, when they're not doing the right thing. They need that. Without that, you get a lot of what we saw last year, especially in late game moments, late game situations. And Sam Cassell also helps with that too, right? He's not afraid to get in people's faces and be as animated as he's always has been. And he's been around guys, this generation for a long time in that role to be that guy. So that's expected. He knows how to connect with players. And I think that in Boston, it'll be no different. But yeah, with Chris Paul, if it's short money, a situation where the Celtics can afford it and he's down for that,
2-year deal,
I think it's worth the risk. I really do.
Yeah, if you're leaning into the 3-point identity too, great shooter. Yeah, I thought he was excellent as a catch and shoot guy last year, especially in the playoffs. I think he was around 37 during the year, so that'd be an immediate upgrade on a Smart at that position. I don't love the idea of pushing Smart to the side, though, in general for him.
It's time, Bobby. I like Marcus a lot, but like,
you move him?
No, listen, you just gotta let go at some point. Like, everything about Marcus is great.
So you get rid of Brown
You just gotta
Smart?
let go of this notion that Marcus Smart is the starting point guard of this team and giving the team and the offense and the Jays what they need. I don't want to debate it anymore. I don't want people to just be like, send me clips of like an assist and be like, see, like, it's just not it. The two conversations with Marcus Smart. He's freaking awesome. Everything about Marcus Smart is great. Everyone should be so lucky to have a Marcus Smart on your team. I don't want him to be my starting point guard. Both of those things are true. So this idea of moving on from Smart, like, you can move on, okay? Marcus Smart is great, but you keep running into this wall because you don't have anybody who can demand the ball and make sure that the people out here are doing stuff.
Will Paul be able to do that, though?
Of course, he's freaking the best. He's like a top 5 point guard in history.
He'll do it from the bench, Bobby. That's how into it he gets.
And he has clout, Bobby. He has clout.
The
problem is, watching him since they were kids.
The problem is, I think you needed him. The problem is just, I think you waited 2 years too long. When he was out there and people thought he was toast a couple years before he went to the Suns, and he was totally gettable that offseason, Bobby, and the
year he went to Phoenix, or even the Thunder.
The year he went to, right, he was gettable, and nobody wanted it. Yes, he would have made a difference. I don't know anymore, so I don't know that it's the answer. But again, I don't know. I'm not friggin' falling over myself to bring in Chris Paul. But
so
the idea that Marcus Smart can't be moved on from, I don't think is
fine.
Right.
But if
I'd rather be younger, so I'm not super into this. I'm really not.
I'm looking to get. I'm looking. Yeah, sure, I get that, but you also need veterans on this team, John. That's what they're drastically.
They have
lacking.
some. They have a lot.
New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win.